You feel like you've just created another job for yourself rather than a clinic that you actually love. Maybe you're still answering all of the phone calls that are coming into your clinic. You're frantically texting patients and calling leads between clients or while you're with clients. Or maybe you're staying after late. And instead of going to your kids' games or spending time with your family, you're stuck in a job that you've created for yourself. Look, this is the year this actually has to change. And in this video, I'm going to break down the 5 real reasons cash and hybrid clinics are hiring healthcare virtual assistants. This isn't some trend or something that's going to go away, but this is a survival and growth strategy for a lot of practices. And by the end of this, you're going to know whether a VA actually makes sense for you and your clinic, or if you maybe shouldn't hire one yet. And so we're going to talk about the real cost, the time, the focus, revenue stability for your clinic, and why hiring local front desk talent has become so freaking hard. How clinics are solving this problem really without burning out, and that's the most important thing. And so this isn't theory. This isn't something that we're just kind of throwing together in this video. This is the exact framework that we've used with over 100 cash and hybrid clinics all over the country. And in fact, this is the exact setup that I have in my own cash-based practice here in Nashville, Tennessee. Now, reason number one that a virtual assistant makes so much sense for you is that they cost less and they give you full-time coverage. And here's what I mean by that. The obvious one when you're going to hire and when you're a cash practice or hybrid and you're in this growth stage, your margins are razor thin. And a healthcare virtual assistant costs a fraction of what a US based front desk talent who might actually be in your office. So that's important to protect your margins, but really the big thing is you're going to be getting full-time coverage, meaning you're having somebody who can answer the phone throughout the day, your business hours of 8 to 5. And the reason that that's so important is because every single lead in your practice, every single person that calls is worth a lot of money, and in many cases, $2,000 plus for most of the clinics that we work with. And so one missed call where you go to call that lead back and either they don't answer or maybe they've called the next clinic down the street, that's $2,000 that you've basically flushed down the toilet. And so now you're getting full-time phone coverage, you're getting fast follow-up, and not this like phone tag mindset that you end up with a lot of patients. And so ultimately, I've got cost savings in the standpoint I'm scheduling more people, but more importantly, I'm not having to break the bank when I go to hire somebody. Local front desk talent can cost you 1,500, 2,000, 3 or 4,000 for full-time. I mean, for full-time coverage, I mean, we're talking $4,000 plus like benefits, right? Or if you're going to hire somebody part-time, many times you think that that's the safe alternative. And so you'll pay somebody $1,000 a month to work, but they don't actually get that much done. So that's the first big reason is, hey, they're going to cost less. I'm going to get full-time coverage. And now I can actually convert the leads of folks that are reaching out to me. This is a no-brainer, especially if you're running ads for your practice. Reason number two is you get your time and your focus back. This is the single most important thing. The practice is only as resilient as you, the owner. And if you're struggling, you're burnout, you're tired, your practice is going to suffer. And most clinics owners aren't burnt out from treating patients or providing high quality care. They're burnt out from the constant switching. You're treating patients, you're answering phone calls, you're texting people back, you're dealing with customer complaints if you have any, or that difficult patient. You're trying to schedule workshops for your clinic or other marketing events. And plus, you're trying to manage the financials and all the other things. And that's just not sustainable. And when you delegate this stuff at the front desk, this lead follow up, you now get a lot of clarity and focus on the things that are most important in your business. And when you have your mental clarity, you can actually lock in and say, hey, I know exactly what I need to be doing. I know how to get that complex patient better that I've been trying to get better for a long time now. Or for some of you, maybe you need to get out and do marketing because you want to hire another clinician, and so you need to learn how to run ads, or you need to learn how to optimize your Google My Business profile, or hey, maybe you just need to catch up on your books, right? If you're doing some accounting stuff for your practice, hopefully you've hired that out. But if not, you can focus on some of these other tasks that aren't so draining. The third reason is you finally get to offload the task you hate. So I want you to pause for a moment. I want you to think, what is the thing that just drives you absolutely mad? What's the thing you hate doing? Is it, constantly chasing leads down? Is it calling people after work? Is it like invoicing people at the end of your day? Like, what is it that that really just drives you nuts? Maybe it's creating random graphics on Canva. I know that this drove me nuts, posting on social media. Just because you can do these things doesn't mean you should. And I know you're trying to save money and I know you're trying to keep your overhead low, but a great VA really helps you quarterback your clinic and keep all of the things from slipping through the cracks so that you can actually get some leverage back and really get rid of these things that are driving you mad. Because if they're going to continue, if they're driving you mad now, they're only going to continue to do that long term. All right, reason number four, you ultimately get off the revenue roller coaster when you go to hire a virtual assistant. And when you get a virtual assistant on board, the revenue roller coaster that I commonly see in especially cash practices is you have a really good month and then you have a bad month. You start growing again, you have a couple good months and then you have a couple of bad months. And the reason this happens is because you get really, really busy and then you can't follow up with leads, you can't follow up with the people that you need to follow up with, and ultimately you now get way too busy and your schedule starts to fall apart. Leads slip through the cracks, you're not out marketing, you're not out hustling, and then you get slow again. You got holes in your schedule, you're freaking out. And so your response to that freak out is to hit the pavements. You're back calling leads, you're reactivating some people that fell through the cracks, and you get hungry again. And then you start to grow and you climb, and then you get too busy, and this rat race continues. And in fact, the same exact thing happened to me for months and months and months in my cash practice. It drove me nuts. And it was one of the biggest reasons why we struggled to grow. It's why I struggled to get provider schedules filled. And it really created a lot of unpredictable stuff for my practice early on. And because I was having this revenue roller coaster, my practice felt unpredictable. And I was scared to hire somebody at that point. I was like, I can't hire a VA. I can't really support them. And ultimately, I took the leap. And what happened was, is after that point, I had no more decreases in revenue. I had a very consistent growth to the point I was able to hire another provider. And then we were able to consistently grow month over month after that. And the reason for that is A, because I was able to continue focus on growing the clinic, but more importantly, leads weren't falling through the cracks. I wasn't missing phone calls from potential leads, or, leads weren't calling the next clinic down the road, or whatever the case may be. But more importantly, the people who were falling through the cracks, I had a safety net in place for people to be able to catch those things. And that's what really provided a lot of stability and a lot of certainty for me to get there. Now, reason number five to hire a virtual assistant is, look, it's completely safer. It's easier to hire than talent locally. When most people go to hire a front desk talent right now, they do a couple of different things. One is they'll hire a past patient, a college student, somebody who seems like a safe hire, somebody you kind of know, or a family member even. And ultimately, you get this person in, you pay them for like 5 to 10 hours a week. And I have very seldom heard somebody say, man, I am so glad I hired this person I knew. They were a rock star, they worked hard, they were really dedicated. That's what you think is going to happen. But really what happens is they struggle. They aren't there very much. They don't get tasks done on time. And then ultimately you begin to undermine, they've undermined their trust and you don't trust them as much. And so you start taking tasks away from them or you don't delegate as much as you should. And now you're really frustrated and you're back to square one. You go to hire again. And hiring locally is really tough because you throw an ad up on Indeed or maybe you email your past patient list, maybe make a social media post and they look really awesome on a resume. And then you go to bring that person on, and they are not anything like the person that you actually interviewed. They're not as sharp as they were. They're playing on their phone at work. All of these really problematic tasks, which become super frustrating. And now you're back again, back to square one again. And this is where really using a trusted company to help you hire a virtual assistant goes a really long way. Because endless interviews and people no showing your interviews and what questions do you ask during an interview and is this person actually who I think they are? This is exactly what virtual assistant companies do for you, where they basically collect all the resumes for you. And from there, they do all the interviewing, and then they do majority of the training, or they help assist you in that process. And that's what makes it so much easier. And if for some reason they don't perform, then they'll literally replace that person. And that is the safest, most effective way to hire somebody, as opposed to running this rat race, which is, hey, I'm going to constantly, trust my own gut and my own instincts, which you don't even have because you've never hired or only hired a couple times. You're now on the struggle bus, right? And so this is where having somebody like a company like ours, I mean, this is literally what we do. I mean, we have 850 people or more that apply to work with us on a given month. We run those people through a four-step interview process. And then ultimately, we usually only find one to two people. And I know you clinic owners don't have time to interview that many people. And so you don't. You just get a really small list and kind of pick the what you think is the best person or the least bad person. And so these are the five things that are really going to help separate a virtual assistant from hiring local talent. The first one, look, they cost less, you're going to get more coverage. Reason number two is you get your time and focus back. Number three, you finally offload the things that you absolutely hate and that just drag you down. Number four, you step off the revenue roller coaster. You get stability back and you actually start growing your clinic again like you wanted to all along. And then number five, quite frankly, it's just the safer and easier option. And now that you kind of understand the dynamics of that and what it's like to hire a virtual assistant, it's not going to 100% magically fix your clinic unless you have the right systems and processes in place. You got to have scripts and training and accountability. And if you want to see how we ultimately vet, train, and place, and then ultimately assist you in auditing their phone calls and actually getting them up to speed to crush phone conversions for you, then I want you to check out some of the next videos on our YouTube channel. But more importantly, if you already know that this sounds like something you'd like to check out, or you'd like to just for us to just kind of audit your current front desk setup and see if this even makes sense for you, what you can do is you can click the link down below, book a call with me or somebody on our team. We'll break down your front desk, we'll break through what processes you might have or what might be missing, and how we can get a VA plugged into